Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Blockchain Brunch. Hi, I'm Emily. I'm the president of the Crypto Recruiters, and here's the alpha, no fluff, just signal. This is your mid-morning dose of hiring trends, crypto job market moves, and behind the scenes insights from the people building the future of Web3. So whether you're scaling your team or job hunting in stealth mode, you are in the right place. So grab your coffee. Let's blunch. Let's brunch and blockchain. Okay, did you like my intro? I practiced that. All right, so we got a lot going on today. I want to go over some of our open jobs, which I should have had open before I started this. I'm not on mute today, which is fantastic. And let me see here. All destinations. Sorry, I'm just making sure the stream is working. So here we go. Let's talk about our open roles. If you are interested in one of these opportunities, you're more than welcome to message me about it. We don't have all of these posted on our website or on LinkedIn, but we are getting there. So let me pull this up. One of the things that I noticed, I was actually making a video clipping up Blockchain Brunch, and I say the word a lot. So let me formally apologize for saying the word so many times. I'm actually making a funny video about it later. Let's see. Okay, open jobs. So I've got a front-end developer for an AI company. I've got a senior developer. What is this company? It's not my client. Senior developer working on a crypto platform in a multi-chain environment. So that's pretty cool, actually. I have an account executive with a data company, a protocol engineer. This is really interesting. So I've got a marketing manager for a company that's doing like apparel on the blockchain. They've been around for about 10 years, very impressive leadership team. So they're hiring a marketing manager and a community manager. This community manager needs to be like influencer vibes. We want someone that people flock to. So if you're a community manager that's got good vibes, give me a shout. We've also got an investigative journalist. This is for somebody with an MBA or a doctorate that has a lot of experience writing about crypto trends. We've got a founding engineer. I've got a senior Golang engineer, a smart contracts engineer. Ooh, this one just opened. So I've got a tax director. Really quickly, let me say good morning to everybody. Good morning. Hello. Apparel on the blockchain, perfect for you. Yes, I would love to chat with you more about it. Marcos, hello. Jeff, hello. Brandon, good to see you. Brandon again, great to see you. I hope you are having a great day. So back to the jobs. Tax director, that's with a layer 2. And we need international tax experience as well as advising like at a big 4. We have a head of growth. This is for an AI company. It's more skewed towards business development, less marketing. Speaking of marketing, I've got a head of marketing for another AI company. I have a director of operations. This role is based in Canada, but it must be East Coast. On top of that, they're looking for someone that has experience with data automation, product operations, and revenue monitoring. I also have an investor relations role. Oh, by the way, guys, these are fully remote. I'm 95% sure. Yes, these are fully remote. So investor relations for an RWA company, we've got a senior software engineer. That's with one of the biggest names in crypto. Let me pull up that tech stack. Where are the notes? Okay, so that's C, C++, Rust. So if you have experience there, I would love to chat with you. We have a business development lead. We're flexible on title there, though. It could be business development director, associate, manager. I have a mobile engineer, iOS and Android. I wonder if there's a preference here. Let me look. So they definitely want someone that comes from a crypto company. They're looking for around 8 years of experience with mobile engineering. That's a lot of experience to require. We've got a head of growth. This one skews more towards marketing. So it's less business development, more marketing. Isn't that interesting? How this title head of growth could flex both ways. Then for literally the largest AI company in the world, developer relations specialist. That is actually, is it on site? That might be on site in San Francisco. Business development manager on site, New York or San Francisco. A product owner, AI product owner, San Francisco, but also potentially remote. And then for my favorite client up in Canada, I've got a crypto AML analyst and a senior SRE. So that, ladies and gentlemen, let me go through APAC. So that's 24 jobs open in the US. Let's look at APAC. Before I do this, let me check the meetings. Vasu, so great to see you. Thank you for coming. Hey, Trev, good to see your face. Akana, thank you. Francis, hello. Brandon, super excited about your interview later today. Can't wait to hear it. Cigar, yes, we have a couple Web3 devs. Check out our LinkedIn page. Jeff, fantastic. I'm glad you're interested. Go ahead. And that one is actually on our LinkedIn page. Shoot us an application for that. Trevor, I love the yellow. You look fantastic.
It is officially spring.
It is officially spring. Do you like my yellow cup? Always be branding. It's too bad it doesn't.
You know what this color reminds me of? Do you have Daffodil Day out there?
What is Daffodil Day?
So maybe it's just like a New England thing. So like in the spring, daffodils are like one of the first flowers to bloom, and they just get daffodils and like everyone puts them in little vases and stuff like that. And we used to have a day at school called Daffodil Day, and it's literally very close to this color. So like now they're starting to kind of like sprout out. I'm seeing them everywhere. I'm just like, wow, my shirt matches these daffodils.
It is very springish. I agree with you, Russell.
Yeah.
You know, we have a running joke at the Crypto Recruiters. Is it lemon yellow or is it neon yellow? I say lemon, but Trevor, you look a little more neon today, and it's the same color. I don't know. I'm gonna stick with lemon.
I got that glow ring, that light ring in front of me. So maybe that's it, you know.
Oh, you do look very glowy. Hey, Aaron, good to see you. Glad for you to be here. So, guys, I hope everybody liked my intro. Trevor, I don't know if you heard it, but I made this cute little intro for Blockchain Brunch that we need to do more often because your intro for Just Shilling is fantastic. So just a reminder to everybody, we are not providing financial advice.
Nope.
I'm not qualified to, nor do I want to. Vince on Twitter said he's team neon yellow. I'm telling you guys, it's lemon. Marco, what are your thoughts on Ton? I am not going to say that. I'm not going to speak on that. Jeff votes yellow. Jeff, you're my favorite. You get it. You get it. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited to see everybody here. It's great that we're engaging. We're having fun. So those are the open jobs that we have open right now. I said the word open twice there. Does anybody have any pain points they want to discuss today? Because that's a big reason that we're here, right? I'm sorry that I don't respond to everybody's messages. I try so hard, but you got to go to bed at some point. You know what I mean? So this is an opportunity for us to chat, for us to address some of your pain points. Look at this. Bryce says it's lemon. I'm telling you, everybody on our team is wrong. They're the best. We have the best team, but they're all wrong. It's lemon. I'm telling you, it's lemon.
You have a much bigger cup of coffee than I do.
It actually holds 4 cups. Oh my God, that's so tiny. I love that. Yeah, the only reason I got this cup was because it holds 4 cups of coffee. So I can go downstairs a little bit less. Brandon has a pain in his shoulder. I have a great masseuse if you're based in Chicago. But other than that, I wish I could help there. I give better advice about job hunting and your career search. So if anybody's looking for or has pain points there, let's talk about them. I still have to post last week's blockchain brunch. I was telling people earlier, Trev, I don't know if you were here. I apologize. But I say a lot. So I'm going to post this later this week. I did blockchain brunch and I clipped out all the ums. So it's literally just a 30-second video of me going, and I'm just like, this is incredible.
Hey, it keeps it fresh. It shows that we're live and we're real people, you know?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I mean, who couldn't be more real? Did I ever tell you? So I recently had someone, oh, this is so funny. It's a big hand, not a tiny cup. I love that. what was I even just? Oh, so I had someone block me on LinkedIn because
Oh
they were
boy.
like, "This is too good to be true. You're fake. Please don't contact me again," and blocked me. And I was like, I post videos of my face on LinkedIn. I comment on literally everything. You can find me on Twitter, Instagram, little bit of TikTok. TikTok is
Maybe you are the greatest AI agent created ever in the
I'm a deep
world.
fake. Actually,
Maybe.
I'm 100%. I'm a fake person. I don't exist. This is all AI. It's a filter, actually. So Eli has a great question. How about ways to enter crypto as a non-engineer? Background in sales and equity analyst at a hedge fund. Love that.
So can I
Excellent
jump
question.
on this one, Em? Because we just did something recently in Boston. I don't know if any folks here know about the Boston Blockchain Association. They're a great local organization here. I am from Boston, for those that don't know. So after we got back from an incredible time at DAS, and we'll probably talk a little bit about that as well too, because I think there might be some good networking tips for folks that are out there that are trying to expand their network and grow without necessarily having to pay that large price for a ticket at some of these bigger events. But there was actually a hackathon slash business case competition, and this was something that was sponsored in collaboration with numerous organizations, but one of them that folks may know about in this space is Ava Labs. So they came on board and they had a technical aspect of the hackathon, but there was also a business case. And some of the people that came there, they presented a business case, and people competed to actually talk about, ways that they can solve real world problems utilizing blockchain. And there was big money up on the line. They got an opportunity to get mentored by actual professionals that are in the space, and then they got an opportunity to obviously compete against other people. And even though that everyone couldn't necessarily win the prize, I think that everyone that participated walked away as a winner, because one of the biggest challenges, especially with our clients, Emily, is that they always ask us, for people that are trying to make the transition, are they curious about getting in the space, like, what have you done? And they're always going to ask that, like, what value can you bring? How are you going to stand out and be different from other people? And doing things like that, and partaking in events like that are not necessarily kind of like common knowledge, but a little bit about thinking outside of the box. Those are ways that you're going to set yourself up, and you can create your own little kind of like personal portfolio of achievements and things that you have done. And that may not necessarily be the way that you can get your first job, full-time job, but it may be something that can open a door for you to get an internship. It may be something that can open a door for you to get a volunteer opportunity, and then that volunteer opportunity or that internship can springboard you to getting a full-time job. Actually, it's funny, one of the judges, who's also volunteers with the organization from a very well-known company, he actually mentioned that he got his first job at this well-known organization through a relationship that he built during his MBA in college.
Mhm.
So those are awesome ways for you to get in the space. And it's a little bit, I would say, unorthodox compared to what most people do, which is just traditionally, apply to jobs over and over and over again, and kind of just hope for the best. But, you really have to do things that are going to make you stand out. So that's one way.
A crypto company is somewhat just like any other company, right? They need product, marketing, HR, finance and accounting, legal. So there's a lot of opportunity for you to enter the space. I'm just so grateful that you guys are interacting with us. I mean, it's a lot of fun to see your comments up here. So thank you. Russ, how was DAS last week? Great question. Trevor and I went. I was a little disappointed with the booths. I thought the booths were a little like meh. Like ETH Denver booths, I don't know if anybody can top that, honestly. But DAS booths, there were a lot of really good people there. I will say it was a little on the smaller side, and there was no security, which like made me very wary.
Somehow you got through security. I don't know who you
No
bribed,
one
but
checked
they
my
checked
ID.
they checked my ID every single time. And I seen the guy that was going, he's like, show me your ID, show me your ID. And like they literally were going and making people match their ID with their pass. Like, I don't know. You're just a rock star, Em. That's
Well,
it.
don't
Like
you know, Trevor?
you
I'm famous. Um, Yeah, they didn't check my ID once. There was a guy walking around with a Michael Saylor badge. So he had signed in as Michael, and he wasn't. So they weren't, for me, they weren't checked. Like, I could have typed in any name. I could have typed in like Crypto God and I would have gotten in. So I thought that was interesting. So DAS was really great. A lot of interesting speakers. You know what I think is really cool is like there is, well, not cool, but there's becoming a very clear line between crypto and Web3. Web3 is more of the like degen, rave at a conference till 4 o'clock in the morning, and crypto is more, professional, right? More institutional, more of like TradFi vibes. Now, I'm not saying that crypto's got TradFi vibes, but like I think that adultiness is separating, from Web3 to crypto. If you hate that analysis that I just provided, I understand, but I feel like that's what's going on.
Like on the institutional side, you'll see a lot of players, I'm even using that word, players that are in the institutional side, or some of the folks that are kind of more from the TradFi, they're trying to transition and bridge the gap between Web 2 and Web 3. They use words like, they're prone to use more words like blockchain and digital assets, opposed to like crypto and Web 3. So you'll see a lot of those type of that kind of wording in job descriptions and kind of promotions of events and networking as well too. So going back to that original question about how you can get into the industry, when you're trying to find different events for networking, these can be in person, these can be virtual events. There's great ways and great value in both of those, but look out for those type of keywords. Make sure that you're putting a variety in the terms of the events and the people you're looking to network with, and then also the type of job when you eventually get to that point. So, Web3, cryptocurrency, digital assets, blockchain. Another one too, I don't see it as much before, but it was definitely something, DLT, which is digital ledger technology.
Yep.
So there are a bunch of these different acronyms that you want to make sure that you're not like overlooking, because there could be the perfect opportunity out there, whether it's networking, someone that you're trying to connect with, or really great someone that's really influential in their space that is putting out great content, but you're missing them because you're just not using all those like keywords that are like really kind of indicative of the different types of I would say facets of our space.
Okay, I think that's a great point, Trevor. I wanted to talk about Bryce's comment. 1 year at a startup, 10 year in TradFi. Yes, absolutely agree. I think like a day in a startup is a month in TradFi. I mean, it's just wild what we've got going on here. So I wanted to just shout out, Eli said boo to someone blocking me. I thought that was funny. I'm so sorry that we can't show your name here. It comes up as LinkedIn user, but yes. I've got people DMing me all the time that are like, hey, Emily, is this person legit? I'm like, no. We have 79 fake LinkedIn profiles attached to our account. I just threw LinkedIn on blast. And here's what's interesting. I used to get 30 to 60,000 views on my posts. Ever since I started complaining about LinkedIn, I'm getting a fraction of that. So just know I am sacrificing myself to bring the truth to you guys. So Vasu would like to learn more about the Boston Blockchain Association. Bryce, thank you so much for dropping the link. Couple questions here. So Jeff has a pain point of getting assignments to complete. I haven't had one yet, but here's some folks are being asked to do free work. You are absolutely correct, sir. A lot of companies are doing take-home assignments, and I'm on high alert for this. So when I'm talking to my clients and they're like, yeah, we're going to do a take-home assessment, I'm like, heard, understood, right? You want proof in the pudding, but these assessments should not be directly related to your business. You shouldn't be asking for free work. You can have them do a scenario that's similar or completely opposite to your business to see the way they think, to see the way they work. But to ask someone to put together a 3-month marketing plan and how they would get started at your company, completely inappropriate, not acceptable. I understand that you want to see, the vision, the thought process, the skills in action. But man, like you can't, when you ask a person to do an assessment for your company, for your interview, it's a real bad look for you. It's a real bad look because people are doing free work. I can't tell you how many stories I have heard of people that have done an assessment, the company implemented what they did on the assessment, never heard back from the company. So if a company is asking you to do something that's too close to home, it's too related to the company, I would push back. Honestly, I would push back. I think one, it's a sign of what that company is like. And two, you are a professional with X amount of years of experience. You need to find a company that's going to trust you, that's going to believe in you, that doesn't need you to do an assessment to know that you're the right person. So, yes, lots of assessments going around out there. And then I want to touch on Brandon, my friend Brandon. In an interview, if you don't feel super confident about one or two of the abilities on the job responsibilities, but you are super confident about 90% of the role, how do you handle that if the question comes up? Let's say you excel at social paid performance marketing, but don't feel as strong as Google paid performance marketing, but you don't suck at it. You got to be honest. You got to be honest. You got to be yourself. If you have a weakness, you have a weakness, and that's okay. But instead of saying, I suck at Google ads, I would say I've been putting a lot of effort into learning more about Google ads. These are the things that I've discovered. Here are the best practices I've learned. So you want to show that you have an understanding about it, but you never want to lie. You never want to lie.
You always want to spin it too, right? Like weaknesses, but trust me, weaknesses can become strengths. Weaknesses can become things as long as you are intentful about it. These are things that you can improve. So I think kind of going back to the whole gist of this conversation is that it's really important to be truthful and never try to overstate anything. But definitely, this is something I think that a lot of interviewers and job seekers do, is they underestimate their worth and their value. So you definitely don't want to be on that side of the table. But then again, right, you don't want to I would say, share or talk about things that you're really not capable of doing. Just be realistic. And I think that, honestly, people, if you're going to be joining a team and it's going to be your quote unquote family, they'll appreciate that honesty up front, because they'll know that this is something that they can potentially help work with you with, or potentially maybe coach you on getting better.
I think that is incredible feedback. Sorry, I'm responding to a message. Guys, if you have a question, go ahead.
There's someone too, talking about weaknesses can be overcome with AI. So I know that, we're kind of joking about this, but, when it comes to the take home, I wanted to go back to Jeff's comment. It is something that is becoming more common. But the forever optimist in me, I try to look at it this way, right? If you're an established organization and the competition is very difficult, there's a lot of people that are demanding for that particular position. Think of that take-home assessment possibly as a way for you to potentially stand out. And then also to try to figure out what's a dual use that you can have for that. So if you're creating something and you're interviewing for a marketing role, and it might be specific to that company, but then you might be able to use the same research that you've done to make it more generalized. So then you can use that to create content on your own that you can put on social media that may help you become more attractive for another job that you're not even interviewing for. So always kind of think of like multi-purpose ways that you can use stuff like these take-home assessments, so that it's not necessarily kind of just like a complete waste of time of yours if you don't necessarily get that job. It might be something that you can put on your like quote unquote digital portfolio, and then you can share that with other people that you're applying for jobs, or just give them like a hyperlink to that and say, hey, you know what, here's a quick, YouTube video of some cool kind of like projects that I'm working on, or this is some of the things that I'm really good for, qualified, that may not necessarily come off on paper on my resume. Check it out. Here's a short video of my capabilities. Then you're really like killing two birds with one stone. And I heard you can't say that anymore. I heard you have to say like you're feeding two birds with one cup of bird seeds, and you can't say you can't kill two birds with one stone. But I don't know. I digress.
I almost spit out my coffee, Bryce, with this comment. That was hilarious. Okay. Oh, Eli was not booing
I heard him.
He was booing boss. Okay.
It's all right, Eli. We'll still welcome you. Come to town.
So Jeff asked, what is the key way to uncover fake recruiters? I am so glad you asked. So number one, you are always welcome to message me about a crypto recruiter that reaches out to you to understand if they're legit. The way I do it is I check a couple things. One, do they have recommendations, right? And for non-recruiters, recommendations are important on your LinkedIn profile for two reasons. One, validates that you're a real person. Two, it also shows that you did a good job. You know what I mean? That someone's willing to publicly vouch for you. So always check the recommendations. Any recruiter will be asking for recommendations from their candidates. Look at endorsements. I've got like 100 plus endorsements on a lot of my skills. So if they have no endorsements, that doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Their employment tenure. So a recruiter that is bouncing from, this place 3 months, this place 4 months, this place 6 months, they're probably not a great recruiter. So I wouldn't even bother with them. So check their tenure. If they're jumping around, that may be a sign. What else? Level of connections. If you have no mutual connections, obviously they're not well connected in the space. And then if they don't have the verification on LinkedIn, that's an immediate red flag. I also noticed
if they don't have any content, like if you don't see them posting jobs that the company's posting, if you don't see them interacting with the community at all, if you don't see them, I mean, not everyone's awesome like us and doing things like this on the daily or the weekly, but if they're not out there and you can't see them actually adding value in other ways, that could also be a red flag. And then also to touch base with people that have had interactions with them, try to see if there's any way that you can, have people vouch for them, because, the community is still very small, especially in crypto and Web3 and blockchain, all things kind of encompassing that, people talk and it's still a small space. So, check for stuff like that and look at their company webpage, right? Like if they're not listed on their company webpage and you see them on LinkedIn and they're putting all this stuff on LinkedIn, but they're nowhere to be seen in any company photos or anything about the company updates, probably going to be a red flag.
Also, if anybody approaches you that's from our company that is I am not connected to, that do not fall for them. I actually told, I have this written to LinkedIn in emails multiple times. I posted on Twitter the second, and I know it's going to happen. I'm waiting for the shoe to drop. The second someone gets scammed because someone's impersonating us on LinkedIn and asking for resumes, and if they ask for a resume, they could sell your information. They could send you a Zoom link with the second someone gets scammed, you best believe I'm flipping that lawsuit right back to LinkedIn, right back, because it's the fake profiles is actually damaging our business. We have clients that come to us and they're like, oh, you outsource all your recruiting to these 70 Filipino, Nigerian, Chinese recruiters. And I'm like, no, that is not what we do. Those people do not work for me. So it's actually hurting our business because companies think we don't, put a personal touch on all of our recruiting and that we're just some big shop, when we're actually very boutique and we put a lot of love into our work. So I have been begging them, and they don't care. So it is what it is. Okay, look, there you go. Saying again. Totaling, I'll be messaging you all the time, Emily. Fair. Don't blame you. If I don't respond in 24 to 48 hours, guys, you're more than welcome to message me again. I would love to understand. I'd love to get everybody's opinion. So I have not done this yet, and I'd love your opinion on it. So I'm probably 1,500 to 2,000 messages behind. I was thinking of hiring a assistant that I would train to, be able to bring all the value to people, support, provide challenges, or provide feedback on pain points and resumes. So I was thinking of hiring a ghostwriter to get back to everybody. Does anybody have an opinion on that? Would anybody be upset to know that they're messaging me, but they're not actually messaging me, but getting the same type of responses? If I get a super negative response rate, I'm not going to do this. But if I don't do this, I'm going to respond to your messages more slowly. So we're trying to find a solution to this problem.
You want to find a happy medium for sure.
We want to find a happy medium. Yeah, absolutely. Great point.
I was surprised. I'm obviously not going to name any names, but some very, I would say, I consider them to be thought leaders and very influential people in the space. I met them at networking events, and I was just like, hey, let's connect. Maybe you can come on my podcast. We can see any other way that we can partner, bring value to each other. And I was surprised when they mentioned that like they don't manage their own LinkedIn accounts. They're like, I don't manage my own LinkedIn account. I have someone that totally runs it completely. And I was just like, oh, okay. I did not know that. So you never know, folks.
I'm just worried about like, one, it would take a lot of time for me to train this person to be able to bring the amount of value that we want to bring. Oh, this is interesting. Brandon, being more responsive is always a plus, especially in industry where time is of value. Okay. Joseph, getting answers are always the goal. Okay. Brandon, I would say go for it. Test it. See how it works for both you and the customer. Okay. I feel good about this. Okay. All right.
One of the things too, I mean, while we are here in this platform, as mentioned before, right, we are trying to bring as much value as we possibly can to as many people as possible. And a lot of the questions that you are all asking, we get them 1,000 times over and over again. So it's honestly much more, I would say, productive and conducive of our time to meet in settings like this. So, you know, although we are trying our best to get in touch with every single person that reaches out, like there has to be a little bit of meeting us halfway, right? I don't know of any other staffing agency that's doing this like we're doing right now for 3 years running, that just meets with the community to ask any questions. I don't know of any other, not only staffing agency, I don't know of any other company out there that's doing this, right? So when we have these kind of events, it's really up to you guys to come and meet us here, because one, it's going to be an opportunity for you to have an open forum like this. Two, you might have a question that somebody else is asking. And then if you do both have the same kind of questions, it would be great if you're able to connect and then share, you know, what your findings are, you know, create like little mini job seeking groups. You might find someone that has a connection with a company that you're trying to search for that you don't necessarily have, and vice versa, right? So, you know, we can do as much as we possibly can, but it still takes a little bit from you guys to kind of help meet us halfway so that we can bring as much value as possible to as many people as possible as well.
We're trying. Trevor, you said 3 years. We've I just dropped off.
No, it's no worries. I thought it was me. No, we've been doing it for a little bit longer than 3 years, right?
Yeah,
at least
I don't get that.
Brunch.
I'm dialed into the internet. Like I'm literally hardwired in. What even is that? Okay, Bryce made a comment. Why not deploy an AI agent that can give 1K generalized responses and raise the important ones for you to review? Not a bad idea, but there's so much love that goes into my work. And I feel like that's exuded through my messaging. And I want people to know that like I may not be available, but I'm making an active investment into someone else so that way they can answer your questions, right? I think that's more I love AI. I think AI is very useful, but I don't think I think it takes away that love. That's the best word the love we put into our work.
The human touch. The human touch, right?
The human touch. What time are we at? 10:55. Time flies. I can't believe it's already been a half hour. Any other questions in the comments for us? Pain points, general questions.
One of the things that we wanted to revisit as well too, we were talking about you know, different ways to make a transition into the space, and networking is a very important component of that. So in terms of different ways that you can network, maybe we can chat a little bit about that, especially coming fresh off a conference, you know, I'm saying, so there are many ways to do that. You don't necessarily have to pay for the big ticket price of some of these big conferences. One of the beautiful things about this community is that there are a lot of side events that are not necessarily associated with the main event. They may be sponsored by the main event, but if you're not able to, you know, get that big ticket and get yourself inside the room, at least you can surround yourself and get involved with other people that are having side events, you know, so that's a really great way to connect and meet like-minded people. I think that's really, really important. And if you're also trying to transition to the space, I think it's really important to find like 5 to 10 people that you can really rely on, that like will be a little bit of your tribe, right? People that you can bounce ideas off of, people that you can ask questions in a very safe space, and you're not going to fear that they're going to like call you stupid or make fun of you, and you can guys can collectively learn together. I think that there are honestly power in numbers is really something important that a lot of people overlook. They try to go into this job search totally on their own. And I think one of the great things that drew me to this space is that it hasn't been that way. And it still is not that way. It's very open, very collaborative, and there are people out there that are willing to help. But one of the things that I'm starting to see nowadays is that, everyone comes into this and they're all about getting the help. But once they get in the position to help others, they don't do that, right? And like the system's just not going to work that way. So it's all good. We're happy to be here and help you. But if you get in a position when you can help someone else, you have to return that favor back.
Jeff's feeling the love. I love it. I'm so glad. Totaling, you want us to take a look at your resume? I need you to send it to me, bud. Gotta send it to Trevor and I in a message, in a DM. Oh, one of the things I wanted to talk about was LinkedIn Premium. So LinkedIn Premium, I think, is critical. Also, everybody, would you like to say hello to Mark? Because she is here. So one of the things about LinkedIn Premium is it gives you access to other people that have LinkedIn Premium. You can send them free messages, but it also gives you a couple in-mails to send. I think this is critical because when you send someone an in-mail, not only does it send them a notification on LinkedIn, but it sends them an email. So that way they see it twice, right? And if you see something more than one time, it becomes more familiar. You're more likely to respond. So I would encourage you. I know it's another platform to invest in. If you're looking for a job, if you're looking to network, I think it's a really important tool to spend time with. So I would encourage you to get LinkedIn Premium, message people, start conversations, but don't go in with the, hey, I'd like to pick your brain, right? Okay, you and 49 other people want to pick my brain, right? I'm not talking about me because I'm at 500 people, but you know what I mean? When you're reaching out to people and you say, I want to pick your brain, it's like, oh, great. Another person that wants to talk, and you've got to show how you bring value to them. I think that's one of the most important things is, hey, 15 minutes of your time, here's what you'll get out of it. But going back to LinkedIn Premium, to your example earlier, Trevor, one of your connections got a job through someone they met through their MBA. It really is about who you know, right? It's the same thing in recruiting, right? So this is kind of like my secret sauce. Our average lead time, like to convert a lead, is 2.5 years. 2.5 years. The reason why is we don't go in for the ask. We build relationships, and we're there as a resource when they need us. So I build these really intense and very deep relationships with candidates. And then when they, when I either find them a job or they find them a job, they remember me, right? How are you going to forget Crypto Recruiter? Number one. I am so tired. Hold on. We have more than one person in my household using the internet. I need him to get off the internet. Okay. I'm going to text. Anyway. So hold on. I don't want to disconnect.
I see some people talking about virtual events as well there too. I mean, if you do need to reboot him, I think it's good now. Virtual events is the way to go for sure, especially if you move to a new area. The beautiful thing about this is that there are tons of different virtual events, and they're not only podcasts, but there are also boot camps. There are just, I would say, community updates. There are technical conversations. There's so much that's going on out there virtually And I would say that, you shouldn't just kind of focus on quote unquote, your area of expertise. I found a lot of great value from actually attending a boot camp for Chainlink. I'm a fan of the project and what they're building. And this was something where they were doing a kind of a crash course and introducing people into creating their first smart contract and getting like a crash course or an intro into Solidity. And for someone like me, I'm not technical, I'm not a programmer, I'm not a developer, but it was really interesting to kind of see like what do engineers and developers, how do they start? Like what are some of the things that they do? What's the underlying kind of things that make these protocols and blockchains work? And it just opened up my mind to be able to appreciate more what engineers and developers do. So, if I was someone that was searching for a job and I was reaching out to someone maybe at Chainlink for a role that I match my background, I could add in that, yes, these are things that I'm qualified in, but I also had an opportunity to, listen to someone from this. And I really am interested in what you guys are building from a technical standpoint, because that's going to show like that you're just thinking outside of the box. And then also too, that, you're doing something and thinking about things and you're aware of things that typically someone probably shouldn't be in your role, especially if you're not technical. And that's just going to help you really kind of break the ice and engage in more of these conversations. So if there's anything that you can do to be more than what your job title says, especially in this space, because whatever you start at in this industry, you may be someone that's a VP of marketing, depending on the company and depending on where they are, the stage of that organization. In a traditional role, you may never have to go on Discord. You may never have to actually engage with the community. But in a crypto company that's a startup, as a VP of marketer, they may want you to do podcasts. They may want you to create memes. They may want you to, actually moderate or connect or interact with people in like their Discord. They may want you to like have a huge Telegram following. They may want you to have, 50,000 plus following on X, even if that's not something that would be necessarily a part of your role. So if there's any way that you can, one, again, we're coming back to add value and really differentiate yourself amongst this like sea of everyone else that's trying to do the same thing over and over and over again, that's really going to help you get a leg up.
Really quickly, Aaron, I got your message on Telegram. If you could respond to me, that would be great. In startups, you wear 50 hats. Bryce, absolutely agree. But this was an interesting point. A lot of big people in the space online are not who they are in real life. They simply are putting a face or a persona for their personal brand. It is really one of the odd things about crypto and Web3. I totally agree with you. 100%. I think that, a lot of people on social media, they just want to show the good stuff. To be fair, the negative stuff, nobody really cares about for the most part. Right. People want to be uplifted. They want to be positive. They don't want to, you don't want to skew it to be too negative. But I think being real and being, personable in yourself is critical. So I'll be honest, I write up a lot of tweets and then delete them because I'm like, oh, this is too sassy. Oh, this is too negative, and then I try to respin it in a more positive way. But I think the best compliment that I get that I really hold dear is that I'm real. There's no bullshit. It's, can I even say that on a live? Sorry.
Yeah.
No BS, no fluff, all signal. That's my new saying. No fluff, all signal. So the one thing about me, though, that I think is very interesting that not a lot of people know, and for the 20 people here, I'm going to tell you, I am very shy in person. Like Zoom phone call, I am bubbly and, excited and whatever. But in person, I am so shy. I would be happy to sit in the corner and just be a wallflower. So that's one of my weaknesses, right? And how do I spin that into a positive? I talk about, putting myself out there, right? Pushing myself to do things that are difficult, right? So a weakness could be, just as an example, if someone was in an interview, you could say, I'm a little shy in person, but I'm pushing myself and really expanding my skills to be able to build more in-person interactions, right? Spin it. So that's my deepest, darkest secret. Don't tell anybody. I'm going to clip this out of the recording. But yeah, I mean, I think being genuine and being yourself is critical. I just think I'm a little too unhinged to like fully be Emily on like written communication, like videos. Yeah, no issues, but written communication, I feel like
the funny thing too, Em, is that, you know, and this is something that you and I had chatted about, and I know that we brought this up in previous conversations. Social media, outside of work, social media is something that I try to avoid like the plague. So the fact that, you know, we're doing these, like we're doing multiple, not one, like we're doing multiple podcasts, consistently having conversations, consistently, you know, creating content. And this is something that for me personally, you know, I'm a bit of a perfectionist, right? Like I would overthink things, I would overanalyze these posts, I would try to like this doesn't sound right, and then I was just like, you know what? One day, I was just like, I just got to send it. I got to go out there. I have to do what I'm preaching to other people to do and become vulnerable and just take a shot and understand that, right? Like whatever you put out there in terms of content, there's always going to be someone that's going to be negative, no matter what. There's always going to be someone that doesn't like it. That's okay. It's not their cup of tea. That's great. I'll brew my pot of coffee, pot of tea for somebody else that will appreciate that. So, you know, when you're putting out your content, your social media, just always think about becoming a better version of yourself, and don't worry about the likes. I mean, that was something as well too that I put a lot of emphasis on when I was first kind of getting in this, like, people aren't liking my content, or people aren't following me. It was like something that I would like really worry about, but I'm just trying to become the best version of myself and bring as much value as I possibly can for the people in this community and the people that are aware of us, the people that aren't aware of us, and just, you know, really showcase the amazing qualities and characteristics of what makes our organization special. So, you know, if this is something that, you know, Emily and I can do, and trust me, you know, we even dreaded when they made the change from being able just to do a voice conversation on LinkedIn to having this do this on video. But now I think that we're quite comfortable with it, and we find the benefits of being able to interact and engage with the community in a different way. So, you know, don't talk about it, be about it, and just go for it.
Trevor, you're gold, but in lemon yellow. You're gold, but in lemon.
And
Okay.
daffodil yellow. How about that?
Fine, I'll settle. So Aaron would like us to review his resume. I did get written confirmation that I have permission to screen share. So Aaron, the first thing before I screen share, I noticed your full address is on your resume. Let me tell everybody, take your address off your resume. Aaron, I'm not picking on you, but like, it is crypto. It's a security risk, especially being in Chicago. Also, when I was a little kid, or when I was a baby, I lived in Lake Bluff, so that's cool. But yeah, there are plenty of people in HR and recruiters. I would not want them to know where I lived. Just saying, like, there's plenty of them. Like, I've worked with a lot of like HR people in-house at companies. Some of them are weird. So I'm just throwing that out there. Let me share my screen really quickly. So I'm still figuring out how to do this on our platform. Okay. Oh, wait, he gave me a Word doc. Okay, perfect. All right, beautiful. Now I've got dark mode on, guys, because I have very sensitive eyes. That's what happens when you have blue eyes. Slides in PDF, share screen, window. Okay. All right. So, Aaron, welcome to the show. So what I would do is right here, instead of having, oh no, that went away. Why did this go away? Hold on. Sorry, technical difficulties. Okay. So instead of having your name and contact information in the body of your resume, I would literally just go up top and put it in this header. That will actually save you some room and make it a little cleaner. So you want that, and then you want contact information. Okay, if I could type, want the little line, cell, little line, email, little line, LinkedIn, and then you could get extra spicy and put your Telegram. But what I want you to do is, instead of just putting the word LinkedIn and then the semicolon and then the link, hyperlink the word LinkedIn, so that way they can click on it. So that's what I would do there. I don't think it's a bad resume. I like the red, but I will tell you there's a color theory. So red tends to be a very aggressive color. So blue is the most common color that you'll find on a resume. So let's dive into the details. Results-driven marketing professional with 7 years of experience executing large-scale performance marketing, yada, 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 yada. Really good sentence. Now, here's the thing. They're going to read the beginning part of this sentence, right? Just like I did. People are spending 3 to 30 seconds on a resume. They're not going to read this. So what you want to do is two things. One, you want to make the first sentence really impactful, and then you want to make it in bullet points. So that way, it stands out a little bit more. I don't know how you have this formatted here, but you got something funky going on. Core competencies, great. Love this. This is really important for keywords, right? So if I'm looking for the keyword YouTube, it's going to be in here. Now, the one thing I don't see is other social media platforms like X. Let's scroll down. Okay, this might be because we transferred from PDF to Word, because I do not know what that means. So you don't necessarily need locations on your resume, guys. I think it just clutters it up. Crypto is 90% remote. You need the city, state. Let me put this up here. City, state, zip. So you want city, state, and zip, but I don't think you need the locations on your resume. How I like to do it is I like to put the company name, the title. We're going to get rid of this. It's like a free resume audit here. And then I like to put dates on the right-hand side. It just formats it a little bit cleaner, and standardizes the resume, because this is what people are looking for, right? It's how the eye goes down the resume. First thing they're looking for, company, title, dates. How long did you work at that company? Now, present, beautiful. This is all needs to be in present tense, right? Collaborated with clients, collaborates with clients, partnered, partners. So bring this all to present tense. And what I'm really impressed here is you've got some numbers and metrics in your profile. Numbers and metrics are really important. Oh, crap. I meant to post this morning. I forgot to post a LinkedIn post. So here's the problem, and I'm making a LinkedIn post about this later. Companies hire people to make money, right? People are not just going to give you a job to give you a job because they like you. They're making money. It is a business. So it's a business. You need to explain on a piece of paper how you are going to make an impact at that company, right? And what I mean by that is highlighting these numbers, these metrics, manage weekly ad spend, right? Bold things throughout your resume. You want the reader to see what you want them to see. And metrics and numbers are really important. So a company is looking for you to make them money, show them how you're going to make them money. I think you've got some interesting spaces throughout your resume. Okay, I see what's happening here. So this is interesting. This is all in table format. You see that? You want to copy and paste all of this in regular plain text on Word. The reason why is sometimes the applicant tracking system or the database can't read what's in a table. So you want to, the easiest way to do this, copy paste into ChatGPT and say, hey, can you make this into plain text so I can copy and paste it into a Word document? So that's what I would do there, to get rid of some of these spaces. Now, one of the things that I like to do is in between jobs, because your resume can only be 2 pages. So in between jobs, this little enter right here, this little space, I'll actually make that space a font size 5. See how that moves that up? You're just saving extra space so you can really elaborate on your resume. So, right, you've got multi-channel digital marketing campaigns. I also want you to get in there omni-channel, but I want you to talk more about, like, you did video, right? Were you editing the video? What tools were you using, right? Where did you post to these campaigns? Let's talk more about the metrics, right? Campaigns for, let's see, you're partnered with Google Support to audit campaigns for 45 B2C clients, focusing on customer acquisition and retention and ROI. What are those metrics? How did that have an impact? I I think something that's missing as well is a sentence about what the company does. This will add keywords to your profile. I always make this 2 font size smaller and italic, so that way it stands out a little bit. But this will add keywords to your profile, as well as educate the reader about the type of company that you come from. So people are looking for people from similar industries, right? So identifying, hey, this is a SaaS company. Hey, this is a crypto exchange, adds that keyword crypto and educates the reader about the type of company that you're coming from. So my philosophy that has always done well for me is if you want something, make it as easy as possible for that person to give it to you, right? You want the job, so make it as easy as possible for them to understand that you're a fit, right? And in order to make this easier, if they're looking at your LinkedIn page, they're on your page, right? I can't screen share it, but they're on your page. Then on the right corner, they can click on your company, which scrolls down the page. Then they have to click on the company again. Then they go to the company page. Now they have to click the about section to understand the type of company that you come from, right? That's 3, maybe 4 steps. You eliminate that extra work by putting in a sentence about what the company does, right? You have to keep in mind who our audience is. And our audience tends to be the first line of defense, junior recruiters, HR coordinators, not like the senior level executives, unless it's a startup. So you want to make sure that someone that's right out of school, has no training, can understand your resume, where you make an impact, and why you're a fit for the job. And you want to make it easy for them, because how many recruiters are going to go the extra mile and actually do 4 clicks to identify the type of company that you're looking for when you're applying internally to a job and there's 700 other applications, right? They're not going to do it. They're not going to do it. I mean, that's what separates us from everybody else, but like most of these they're just not going to do it. Scrolling down on the resume. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk, by the way. Education. I want you to take dates of education off. This is going to tell people how old you are immediately. And your age does not matter when it comes to what you're qualified for and what your salary should be. Now, one of the things that I think is interesting that you should do is you want everything to be up front, right? Just like we talked about at the beginning, they're only going to read the first part of this sentence. You want crypto, blockchain, Web3 to be the first thing they see, right? I want someone to come to your resume and within 3 seconds identify, yes, Aaron has crypto experience. So how you would do that, if you have crypto experience, I want you to have a section on your resume for crypto experience. And that's where you put all your crypto stuff. And then you've got additional experience right underneath. So that way it's all crypto, blockchain, right? One of my favorite things is when a recruiter schedules an interview with someone that is not a perfect fit for the job because they didn't spend enough time on the resume. They looked at it for 30 seconds and they were like, yeah, this guy's a fit. Let's schedule an interview. And then they get on the interview and they're looking at the resume again. They're like, oh, this guy really isn't a fit. Right. But once you talk to them, once you tell them more about your experience, then they'll fall in love with you. Right. And then offer you the job. That's like my goal. I want everybody to fall in love with you, offer you the job, even if you don't have the experience that they're looking for. Let me stop sharing my screen. Oop. So that's what I would do with your resume. I hope that was helpful. We don't have time to do any other resume reviews. If you would like to do this, we do offer private consultations. Otherwise, feel free to come back next Wednesday. We'll do it for free.
Some other quick tips too, in terms of, your resume that a lot of people overlook is that you want to make sure that you are trying to, and I know this is time consuming. I understand it, but we've all done it to get here. At least most of us, that you have to tailor your resume to the job description. And one of the things that we used to do back in the day when we were actually printing out job descriptions, I'll date myself, was something called a highlighter test. So, in the job description, if you saw a common theme, if you saw a word like leadership, thought leadership, leaders, if you saw that word being repeated multiple times, I'd highlight that and make sure that you were talking about that in your actual own experience. And if it wasn't something that you were doing in your most recent job, at least that might be something that you can highlight as a transferable skill in a role that led you up to getting to where you are, because at some capacity, we've all had to lead, right? So making sure that you're looking at the job description A lot of time and effort is gone into creating these job descriptions. A lot of these different departments, teams come together to make sure they're trying to highlight the most important things that they feel are going to be important for someone to succeed in that role. A lot of times you look at a job description, it's like Christmas, right? Or any other holiday season. Like you're not necessarily going to get everything that you ask your parents for on Christmas, but you want to put it out there and take your shot, right? So employers, they may put this long laundry list of roles and responsibilities. If you can do 60% of those or more, obviously the higher the better. But I would say kind of the floor is that look at it. And if you see a job description and they have roles and responsibilities, if it's a yes or no, right? And if you've got 10 questions and they're saying that these are the things that you need to be successful in the role, look at those 10 questions. And if it's a yes or no and you score 60% or above, then apply for that role. Obviously, the higher that percentage is, I think the better fit that you're going to be for that. But I think that that's really going to be important, and paying attention to not only the actual words that are in the job description, but any kind of like synonyms or acronyms of those words as well too, because as we mentioned before, right? SEO, right? You may assume that the recruiter is going to know what SEO means, but they may not. And they may be looking for search engine optimization. And if you don't have that, then they're going to say, well, this person's not qualified for the role because they don't have one of the key things that we're looking for in the opportunity. But that's just something that anyone in the position would know, but they just don't know that because, they're not familiar with the role or they may be a little bit newer to that. So those are definitely words of wisdom as well to take into account when you're doing this. And I've seen a few comments about like using AI, and you want to create your resume on your own. Use AI to help make what you originally created better. Never go at it from something where you're just trying to use AI and let AI do all the heavy lifting. AI should be a supplement. AI should not be the only thing that you're ultimately using, right? Use it to enhance, not to literally take the driver's seat and kind of run with it, because it's still not that not I would say as complicated as we want it to be. And there's still that human element, and a lot of good recruiters and hiring managers, they're going to know that it seems a little bit fishy and it's not original.
Yeah. No, I would not recommend using AI in your resume. I would also not recommend using it for formatting. All right. So I've got to jump. I've got 2 clients that are hiring. I've got back-to-back calls with them. So get ready for some more jobs. There was one thing I wanted to leave you guys off with. Pictures in a resume. Take your photo off your resume. It's definitely, it's a great way to experience discrimination. I'll leave that there. All right, everybody. Thank you for coming to Blockchain Brunch. We appreciated having you here. It was a great time with everybody in the comments. I'm so glad that this is building up. Don't forget, we have just Shilling is the schedule this week, Trev.
Woo! Still trying to make it happen. I know I got some other ones for coming up for next week. Getting back from DAS and everyone kind of is settling there. So I most likely going to have something Friday, but definitely look for next Monday. And also to the show that we're doing with Blockchain Simplified with Jessica Levesque from C4, who is absolutely amazing. We had an episode yesterday, and we're going to have another one 2 weeks from now. And we just kind of talk about current events and things that are important to our industry. So that's another great thing to check out so that you can stay in the know and let us do all the heavy lifting and the research so that you don't have to.
And on Friday afternoon, we also have office hours on Twitter. So instead of writing me DMs or comments, you can actually come talk to me. So let's do that. I'll see you guys Friday. Trevor, you're the best as always. Thank you for joining me.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.